Yeah, there you go.
Hello, Perry. You can see it, right?
Yeah, I can see it. Sorry.
No problem. And I believe we have Daniel as well. How you doing, Daniel?
Hey Ronaldo, I'm good.
Awesome.
Hey.
All right. Let's begin. So, in terms of performance levels, I'll start from you, Perry. Out of 10, what would it be?
I don't know, Renato. I've been battling this. I'm going to go with an 8.
An 8. Okay. All right. Daniel, how about yourself?
I'll go with the 7.
Okay. Cool. And a 7. All right. So, Perry, in order for you to be an 8, what did you do to make it an 8? Or what worked for you this week?
Just I, when I followed the rules, it went really good.
Okay.
So I guess that would be about the best way to put it.
Great. All right. Anything else?
I just like I bailed on a couple trades that didn't quite go as quick as I thought, and it was a good choice. So and on a personal level, I had a little chat with myself on my frustration. So that that seemed to work good too. So that's about the extent of it.
Okay. Gotcha. No problem. Anything else?
No, I think that's about it.
Okay. Daniel, what worked for you this week in order for you to make it a 7?
Mainly I what's the word? I passed on a lot of trades which would have brought me into trouble, and I also closed some trades successfully which would have go down into minus.
Okay. So, if you wait, put a word for it, what would it be? So, what works for you?
Selectivity.
Being selective. So, being selective, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, great. Anything else, Daniel?
Mm, nothing specifically I can think of.
Okay, no problem. All right. So, Perry, what didn't work for you this week?
Uh, for one is I had a good plan on my trade and I didn't set my alarm clock,
Okay.
and I missed 70 pips out of the deal.
Okay.
And then that was just the start of a couple days where things were not going like I was thinking they should, where the frustration got in.
Okay.
So, but in the end, I felt I gained for the week because it ended up not. I didn't let it ruin my whole week. Yes, I let it kind of a 24-hour period, but I didn't let it ruin the whole week. So
Okay. Gotcha. Um, so for you not to set the alarm led you to frustration. Anything else?
no, those are that's why I gave myself an 8 instead of a 9 or a 10. So
Okay. Gotcha. Got it. Um, and so what caused in order for you not to set the alarm?
I don't know. I just plain. I mean, I had it all planned when I was headed to bed to be awake at 2 a.m. to because I seen something that might be happening then, and I I really don't know what caused it. I just simply missed it, I guess. So
Do you know that on the subconscious level, you already self-sabotage your actually trade without even you knowing it? So it is a sign of self-sabotage.
I see.
Because if, make it this way, if your boss will tell you to get up at a certain time because you have to do the things that you have to do based on your role as a manager for your work, will you set up your alarm and not miss anything in terms of will you do the job based on what your boss told you to?
999 times out of 1,000, I wouldn't, I'm pretty sure. So yes, no, I wouldn't have. So,
Exactly. And so perhaps it wasn't important for you enough to make it as a priority in order for you not to get up. Hence is why you chose not to, because you choose to either sleep or not to do the trade. That's from a subconscious aspect of it, whether we like it or not. It's actually very interesting. Remember, the subconscious mind is so powerful that you will self-sabotage whatever you have as a limiting mindset or a limiting belief that you may have. So now that you're aware of that, um, solution,
well, never would have looked at it that way. Uh,
the solution is always to be what do you think?
the solution is, what was that?
The solution is to be a certain type of person.
Uh, so I would need to start treating all parts of my life like I do my job. Maybe is that something like that?
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's do this for a second. I'll just do a stick. So there has to be a certain type of in order for you to be what we call the being. From the terminology human being, human meaning you have your five senses, and the being, which is your sixth sense, which is you, the internal light, the life force, the spirit, the self-conscious, or the infinite consciousness. In other words, even before you're born or where you're in the womb, there's already that life force in you. And what is that force of that beingness in regards to every person in this world would be something like you're born with love, you're born with kindness, you're born with discipline, you're born with commitment, motivation, desire, responsibility, and so forth. So if you are that human being, you are that person in terms of being responsible. If you're being responsible, and that's the thing, there's always a thing that we need to understand is that why do we prioritize our sense of beingness when there is some form of accountability in the end? Meaning that if you have a job and you're not going to do the job, you're going to get fired. So that's a condition. Therefore, in a normal job, you have or you need to be responsible, because if you're not, you're going to get fired. You need to be disciplined, because if you're not, you're going to get fired. You need to have the motivation, you need to have the commitment, or else you're going to get fired. So notice if you don't be, you will get fired based on the condition. I want to notice here, based on the statement, you need to be. It's not because you want to be. Now, if you want to be the person who you're supposed to be, then you have to be in all these virtues or values on a day-to-day basis, no matter what, in terms of everything that's around you, coming from work, family, in terms of relationships, partner, friends, business, sport, anything. So it's not based on condition. You're not conditioned to, oh, I'm only going to be disciplined or be responsible with my work because if I'm not going to be that, then I'm going to get fired and I don't want to get fired. So imagine if you're just being responsible with work, being responsible with family, being responsible with friends, with partner, with your sport, with your business. And that's now you being you based on that, right? If you're being committed, then you're being committed not with work, but you're also committed with everything. So, in other words, everything now is a priority. You're not prioritizing work over family. You're not prioritizing work over your business. You're not prioritizing work over friends, over sport, or over partner.
Hey, Renato,
Everything. Yes, sir.
I don't know if it was my internet, but I missed about a minute of you there. So
Is it just me or did Daniel, did you hear me or did I break out?
I
I
heard
did
you. I did hear.
you,
Oh, hi,
but
Val.
you
How
were
you doing?
Hello, hello. Good morning, Ray. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I did hear. Yes, there
Okay,
was no break from.
got it.
Yeah.
So,
you are a little bit muffled, Ronaldo. That was also yesterday an issue.
okay. So, Harry, basically what I just said is that when you are being in terms of your sense of value, you're not prioritizing your own beingness or your own values over others. In other words, if you're just being responsible over work, then you're prioritizing work over family, over business, over friends, over your partner, over your sports. So if you're a being responsible, then you are responsible with work, family, business, friends, partner. There's no condition. You are basically within that being. So in other words, there's no priority. I hope that makes sense there, Karen.
yeah, it does. But would would it make sense if three of those I think I'm pretty good, or I believe I'm very good at, or responsible with, but two of those I'm not the best at? Is that
Well,
would that make sense, or is that should be all together?
that it should be all together. And the reason being is because you suppressed that somewhere, sometime in the past, and you believed it as a story that you're not good enough. You're not good
Okay.
enough with other things. So
Uh-huh.
just imagine you keep saying that to yourself without even knowing, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh man, I'm a loser. Oh man, I'm not good enough. I'm not good at writing. I'm not good at math. Or someone labeled you when you were a kid that you're not good at something. Oh, you're not a good reader. You're not a good student. Oh, you're stupid. You're dumb. And then you all of a sudden made as a belief, oh, maybe I am dumb. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm not good enough. And so imagine you keep saying that over and over, it becomes an affirmation. You're affirming it over and over again. It becomes now a reality as a truth that you are that person, that you are not responsible, that you are not disciplined, that you are not committed, and so forth. So it's been suppressed because by right, whether you like it or not, whether you call it God, the universe, or so forth, Javi, please, or the universe, basically that's your right by when you're actually born. So love is given to you at birth or even before birth because that's who you are. Kindness, discipline, motivation, desire, passion. But the question is, when did it get suppressed? Especially confidence. It is because of the experience, say losing all the time. Oh, maybe I'm not good enough. Yeah, then you're being competitive, or you're seeing another person getting more validated. Oh, he's good, she's good, and now you're being labeled as no good. And this is where we've been labeled either by our parents, by teachers, by friends. And this is where also I'm being aware with my kids that I'm not labeling them in terms of, oh, you're very smart, or you're intelligent, or you're so good at math, or you're not good at math. And the reason you start labeling that and they sense that and they know and they start to do that they're not good at it then they will focus on the something that they believe that they're good, just to prove to themselves that they're good at it in order to validate, to seek love and attention from their parents. Because if they're not good at it, maybe mommy and daddy won't love me anymore. See how screwed that is in terms of way of thinking. Why? Because parents don't know what they don't know either, basically in the past. But that has to stop to a certain degree, to a certain timeline, when the person starts to grow and start to realize, part of self-reflection, that, hey, I just made that as a story. I am not stupid. I am not dumb. I am smart. But who created that I'm smart, or that I wasn't smart? Nobody else except that person itself. Right? That's why, and this is part of the conditioning. It's part of the three aspects of conditioning based on what we've seen, what we've heard, what we've felt, that create a belief system, mainly a lot of limiting belief. And isn't it interesting that when you're searching for a job, you will basically find a way to sell yourself in order for you to get the job, because there's other people out there as well who is getting to that job. And then you will lie, you will do anything in order to get that job, even though maybe you're not good at it, but you're going to prove it to someone else or to the owner that you're good at it. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening on a subconscious level there, Perry. I'm not just talking about you, I'm talking for everybody.
Yeah.
It's where
Well,
a lot of people, in terms of trading, I call it the self-awakening moment. And it takes time to get there. On average, about 3 years, to be honest. So either they will quit, or they will start to look into themselves and start to realize that the problem is actually them, not the system or not the business itself. So not until they stop being manipulated by conditioning in terms of their 6 inches between their ears, in terms of priority, that's the only time they will start to make money consistently. When they stop prioritizing work over family, over business, over friends, because some will create an excuse or a limiting belief, such as, if I'm not going to focus on my work, how am I supposed to feed my family over business or friends or partner or sport? So it's a prioritizing type rather than a thought or a statement such as, okay, I'm going to focus on my work for 2 hours, and then I'm going to focus on my family for 1 hour, then I'm going to focus on my work with business, and I'm going to focus on my friends, my partner, my sport. So it has to be some form of balance in terms of priority, that everything should be a priority, not just with one.
I see. Question again, if I may.
Sure.
So if you were raised in a religion where work is like, they will pretty much, if you're not a hard worker, they'll pretty much make fun of you. That's probably why work becomes prioritized. It could
Exactly.
work that way, right?
And that is something said as well about religion. And I'm not going to talk about any religion, but mind you, though, it's also about context, interpretation of context, right? Just imagine how many times people have rewritten simply the Bible, or the misinterpretation of certain statements from the Bible. So, for example, the Bible doesn't say that money is the root of all evil. It doesn't say that at all. However, whoever is the pastor or the person who is expressing in terms of what they've read might misinterpret it and it's giving out to people that money is the root of all evil, but it's not the case, right? So greed is no good when there's really nothing there, but greed is good when there's more that it can provide you. Greed is no longer good when the money or the market can give you any more and you want more. Now that is greed. Gluttony is basically the same. Is that you keep eating even though, hey, stop. When are you going to stop? So all these things can play a big role in terms of misinterpretation based on what you hear. Sometimes we misinterpret things. Maybe perhaps based on what your interpretation of working hard, you created a story that, oh, in order for me to work to to be worthy is by working hard. But maybe perhaps that doesn't mean in that sense. You just believed it that by through working hard, then if you're not working hard, then you're not good enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Right.
Is
So
this,
I'm
is
sorry.
this what that deal you're doing in a week and a half, is this what this is about? You'll do something like this?
Ooh, yes, sir. There's much more than that. So,
I think everything's gonna work out where I can be on it, but it's looking like it, so
no problem.
thank you.
You're welcome. So I hope that makes sense. That's why the solution is simply to be responsible and not creating any form of priority over something. Because, and this is also what happens where, if I'm going to deal about relationships, you know, I've seen where the guy or the husband works so much because he wants to provide for the family and no longer having as well the balance to have the interaction with the partner or with the kids. And then next thing you know, 20 years has passed and the kids then have grown and he's missed out on their baseball games, basketball games, for creating memories within their kids. So, and then wife or the partner is simply holding everything in because that's she just doesn't know it either. Through the pandemic, here in the actual Bay Area, statistically, I think everywhere, divorce rates basically increased. And the reason being is because now they're being together and they don't get along. So work, the person goes to work, both of them goes to work, kid goes to school, they have their own life, they have their own way of doing things. And then when they get together, they're no longer within agreement within they're supposed to be in terms of what's a family. And that's how, especially with partners or relationships in general. And that's why separation and divorce rates basically increase massively. Why? Because there's no priority with or balance. That would be a proper word, a balance between the yin and the yang or the masculine and the feminine energy between both. So, yeah. All right. So, for Daniel, what didn't work for you? So what didn't work for you this week, Daniel?
Ronaldo, you're extremely hard to understand. You're very quiet and extremely muffled.
Okay. That's interesting because I've got the Ethernet on. Okay, bear with me for 1 second. Let me just close certain applications here. So Val, can you hear me too, or I'm in and out?
No, I'm good. Little bit just now.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's that one? Check, mic check. Is that better?
Yep. Much better.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
It's better for me too, so.
Beautiful. I have to cut down certain applications right there. Okay, so Daniel, what didn't work for you this week?
I didn't get this one.
What didn't work for you this week?
Actually, there were lots of good traits, especially in retrospective. I passed on. Oh, that's the other side of my selectivity. And actually, I think in some cases it wasn't maybe that bad to pass on, but in some cases I figured that I overlooked some information which would have made it actually a good trade. Yeah, I think it's really
Okay.
matter of just getting my RAS where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Can you explain what R is for the rest of the group, please? 'Cause
Yeah,
I know what it is.
it's a reticular activation system. Basically, it's some kind of mechanism in your brain which filters out certain things and taps you with recognizing certain patterns. Something I learned from Steve. And basically, yeah, he talks a lot about demo trading and volume of trades in order to train your subconsciousness and your RAS. So you can basically trade subconsciously and intuitively.
Very good. Good. Perry, that makes sense there. Likewise for Bala in terms of the RAS or the reticular activating system.
Sorry, I was talking to my wife. I missed that.
No problem. So Daniel was just sharing about the RAS, or that we call the reticular activating system.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, I've heard of it.
Okay, great. Awesome. So what else, Daniel? What are you going to work for you this week?
I was kind of upset of certain things, not to say kind of angry.
Okay.
And actually, I couldn't focus during this time, and also lost a lot of chart time during this. Yeah, actually, I figured out if I listen to some metal music to calm down my anger, I feel better after it and can focus again.
All right, no problem. What else? What else didn't work for you this week, Daniel?
Yeah, I think that was mainly the two main issues I was aware of.
Sounds good. All right. So what caused you to overlook some good trades this week? Daniel?
Yeah, I'm still kind of uncertain with certain spots. Maybe you remember when I asked you about this M3 entry on the Kiwi dollar on the 4 hour chart.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of like the struggle I have in many situations when I'm not sure if the odds are really on my side, or if it just should wait longer, or maybe just observe it, look what happens to confirm my suspicion what might happen.
Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes I just overlooked some key hints I should have seen.
Okay. What else?
Yeah, I think that's basically it.
All right. So if there is one word for it, what would it be?
One word. um,
One or two words.
One word. Mm. It's not one word, but one expression. Still some lack of experience, I guess,
Okay. Lack of experience. Okay.
and also lack of looking really at everything I need to look at.
Okay. Just mainly lack of experience. Okay. Excellent. Good. And what is now the solution that you could create for yourself, or you found that you could do differently?
Yeah, actually, one would be just more trading, getting experienced, and on the other hand, figure out the things I really need to look at, write it down.
Okay. So how can you get
So
gain
like a
experience?
checklist that I need to train and internalize.
Okay. And how can you do that?
Mm, actually, I just, I mean, I usually make some notes about my traits when I observed something, especially about myself. Yeah, and I just can use it to make that list.
So here's my thing. And this is where practice or putting trades is imperative. There, in my opinion, it's like reading a book. We can read so much books. We can talk about enlightenment. We can talk about self-development. And you can read so much. You can go to any workshop, attend seminars. Trading is the same. You can read so many books. You can watch as many YouTube videos as you want. You can go to as many seminars as you want. And you can learn so much theory, as many as you want. But without the application for it, then it doesn't mean anything. And for me, this is where it's, I totally believe that power only applies when you apply what you learned. So experience and knowledge can only be gained if you put in trades, especially live trades, not demo trades. Demo is, in my opinion, is like sports where demo is practice. You do the drill, doesn't matter whether it be basketball, tennis, jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, baseball, football, you will do the drill. That's practice. But you have to apply what you practice in a real environment when you're competing. There will be losses, and those losses will be created as strengths. And this is where I find the majority of people are fearful or afraid because they're not willing to put in, or they're afraid of losing, and to face that losing is part of the game. So by doing so is they will sit basically on the fence. Number one, they will self-sabotage. You will overlook some trades. You're not gonna be putting any trades, or in any form, the subconscious will already self-sabotage as a self-sabotaging mechanism because of the fear of losing or the fear of being wrong, or just the ego of being right in terms of righteousness. So how can you gain experience if just by you writing things down wouldn't help either, because there's no trades that's being put in place? The learning will happen when you put in the trade, when you make money or you lose money. When you make money, you write things down, great. Then go to the next one. Or how can you make it even better? If you lose money, then you write things down and you start to analyze on how to be a better trader. Is it the system, or is it the 6 inches between my ears? Those are mainly the two things. And the reason being is because of the three aspects of conditioning, of mental conditioning, physical conditioning, and technical conditioning. That maybe perhaps it's also physical tiredness. And if you're tired, then if you choose not to trade and you're aware that you're choosing not to trade, then so be it. Then there's no regret or any form of dwelling, basically, from you. So that is, in my own experience, not just as an athlete, but also in business and also in trading, is that we can only get better if we do something about it. We can only get better if we are putting in the trades, putting in the time, putting in the work, not just through your own work, because it can also happen not just with your work or your business of trading, your relationships, and also your sport if you are into sports. But there has to be some form of balance. So once again, it's all about balance. And this is where the performance will only increase based from there. So what even if you lost? I mean, I at times I will perform, I will rate myself a 9.5 or 10 out of 10, even if I lost. And the reason being is because I followed every single thing based on my own set of rules, but it just didn't work out because of the market can do whatever it wants to do. It's got nothing to do about me. It doesn't state anything about me that I'm a loser or I'm not worthy. It's just simply I just have to bow down and respect the market as it is, because the market is the market. It will do what it wants to do. So a good example is the dollar CAD. I accepted defeat. There's nothing else that I can basically do. I followed every single rule. And then the next step basically from there is not to quit, is to persist and be relentless about it and just go to the next trade and reverse the trade. And this is also part of the intuitive process, that when you are one with yourself, mind, body, and spirit, you can just feel it. Right? So uh, never be afraid to put in trades. Stay away from perfectionism. Stay away from righteousness. And the reason being is because if you want to be perfect, you're not going to be putting in trades. I guarantee that. Why? Because you just want to be safe all the time. If you want to be safe, then don't trade. Do not be a trader. That's my own honest opinion. Because in trading, you need to take risks. It is an imperative element by taking risks. And this is also where my discussion today is about being an alpha male and alpha female. When you're in the trading floor, you are in a bunch of alpha males and alpha females. If you're not an alpha and you're a beta male or beta female, they will eat you alive. So the solution, and actually I was thinking about this and said, oh, talking about masculinity, about energy. Energy is between the masculinity versus femininity. Masculinity is to be in an alpha state. What is an alpha? So there are 10, I believe there are more, but there are 10 different characteristics of an alpha male or alpha female. Number one is that an alpha is courageous. What does it mean? He or she is fearless. Um, he or she is not afraid to put in the trade. Yes, we're all human beings, and certain times we have insecurities, but they know how to control that insecurity, and they know that when it's time to make a decision and make a choice, then they will have the confidence in order to do so. So a courageous alpha simply is not afraid to fail in business. Likewise, he is not afraid to fail with his work. Likewise, he's not afraid to fail with family or friends or with sports. And the reason being that the person is not afraid is because things are the way they are. Um, so he has a vision or has a mission, and he will find a way to get what he or she wants. Number two, an alpha knows how to control his or her own emotions, especially the negative ones. He is aware and he will not react to negative emotions. That if things doesn't go the way how it's not going, he will have the patience to control that negative emotion of anger, irritation, or whatnot. especially when the trade is going against him. The question now is what he's going to do. He's going to micromanage the account, or he will follow a plan in order to minimize the risk, or still continue based on his own or her own set of rules. Does that make sense? So the alpha will react by taking deep breaths. He or she will evaluate what the next best action steps going to be. That is an alpha trait. Number 3, an alpha knows his or her own purpose as a trader. It doesn't matter what will be trading, but he or she knows the purpose. What is the purpose of my work? What is the purpose of my business in trading? But simply in trading is simply what is the purpose of trading? To make money. So if the purpose of being a trader is to make money, then you will be responsible, disciplined, motivated, committed, passionate, and so forth. Responsible. So in other words, you have to take leadership. You are the CEO of your business. So as a CEO, you need to learn how to lead. That's the job of the CEO. You are not a follower. An alpha will never be a follower. You will never see an alpha male, alpha female. Or if you look at a wolf, is an alpha a follower? No. He will dictate everything based on what he or she sees fit, because he's leading it. He or she doesn't put people down. He or she will never complain, never play the victim, and they will ever blame others. And this is where 75 to 95% of actually traders, why they lose consistently. If you look at statistics, if you go through your own broker, you ask your own broker, what is the success rate of trading? In the currency markets, on average, around 75%. Pretty much across the board. If you look at Oando, it's around 72.3% to 75%. We look at Forex.com, same thing. And these are the 2 major brokers that I use. But if you go outside of the United States, if you look in terms of other brokers like IG Markets, for example, Pepperstone, same thing. It's about 75 to about 80% of Forex traders lose money. Why? Because they don't know what their major purpose is. And then they will blame others and play the victim. And I know that a lot because as an educator for the past 18 years, some people are haters and they will blame me for it. At the end of the day, hey, it's not my fault, it's your fault. So learn how to lead and be a CEO. CEO and learn how to lead within your own partner, in your relationship, your own family. Sports is the same thing, and your own work. So if you are not a leader and you are a follower, you will struggle basically in trading. Okay, number 4. Number 4 is that an alpha is not afraid to make decisions. In trading, you need to have quick decision-making process. Either you take it or you don't take it. There's no gray area. I don't know, I'll think about it, maybe. You're done. Basically, the price will keep moving with or without you. And if you're still thinking, there goes 10 pips, all of a sudden 20 pips, 30 pips, 40 pips. And then next thing you know, the dwelling happens. So if it's there and you know that it is right for you, take it. Take it. But in order to do so is through accepting. Do you have that courage to have that emotion or no emotion at all, and to have that sense of purpose in order to create the proper decision-making process, to make a choice? At the end of the day, it's all about choices. If you make that choice based on the decision-making process, then do so. No gray area. Don't sit basically in between the fence. Javier, please don't do that. And the reason, if you're sitting on the fence and you're still thinking, you're done. That's why in trading, I mean, if you go to the trading floor, they have to make quick decisions there and then instantaneously. Day traders have to make quick decisions. In my opinion, it doesn't matter if you're day trading or you're investing in general. You have to make a decision. You got to press the trigger or not got to press the trigger, right? So, and if you have fear of making decisions, and because of your belief systems of righteousness or perfectionism, then you're not an alpha. You'll have challenges in trading, because same in relationships. A woman will find a man attractive when they have the masculinity based on that alpha. They create the decision making process for them, and they will feel secure. Kids are also the same. They need to feel secure, and you need to have that ability to make the decision making process that's right for your kids and right for your family, and simply to make your partner feel secure. If you're feminine, they're not going to feel attracted with that, right? And sometimes it is the balance between the masculinity and femininity. Femininity in terms of men would be something like in terms of creativeness, intuitiveness. That is the balance, because for men we need both. For women, it's the same thing. They need both masculinity and femininity. But in a strong relationship and good bonding, femininity versus to have that passion, there has to be a balance between masculinity and femininity. If two masculine energy are together, it wouldn't work, because there is only going to be one alpha male or one alpha female. That is it. But in trading, on the other hand, number 5 is that an alpha is not afraid to say what's on his or her mind. So I don't know. I think maybe sometimes this is where it doesn't matter with sports. I say it the way it is. I don't go around the bush. If I see if it's not right, it's not right. If it's your fault, it's your fault. And this is also part of my learning, is to show empathy actually and sympathy with especially with athletes. Maybe because it's, I don't know, maybe it's the way that I've been conditioned, or maybe because it's just my personality, or maybe because I'm just an alpha male. That's basically it. But I also need to distinguish in terms of sensitivity with others, and also to have the feminine side of myself, especially with women, to be empathetic, and to be sensitive. Likewise, also to be sensitive with my kids, sensitive with my ex, sensitive basically with my athletes, or even sensitive with you as a member, because I know in the past I've rubbed people the wrong way and the left is because of my bluntness. But at the end of the day, I'm not, as a coach, if I'm being too nice, then I'm doing my job. If I'm just basically, yeah, then I'm also not doing my job. So I'm not afraid to say what's on my mind. Now in trading, how does that affect that in trading? Well, in trading is that you're in a relationship with the markets. Then it is important for you to confront your own fears. And what is that fear, regardless of what that may be, or whatever that may be? Fear of abandonment, fear of missing out, fear of pressing the trigger, fear of losing. So all these things, you have to face the music, right? By honesty, through being honest, honesty with oneself, and through integrity, with respect. I can be blunt with integrity and respect to others. As long as being respectful and not disrespecting them, then that's okay, in my own opinion. And if they are now feeling bad about it, then in my own opinion, that's their problem. Because that's more that they have to look within themselves in terms of self-reflection, that perhaps there's more that they need to learn based on within themselves. So as long as I am being honest with integrity and respect, then I'm doing basically my job. And you can do that in trading. How? How can you be honest with oneself? Be honest with oneself that if you're irresponsible, then own it. If you're procrastinating, then own it. Don't blame others for it. If you lost integrity but by not following through, now if you had an intent that you're going to trade, you're going to set an alarm, then do so. This, you didn't set an alarm, is a lack of integrity. Overlooking some trades and you didn't put a trade is a lack of integrity. Why? Because you already knew at the very beginning in terms of the intention, in terms of what you're supposed to be doing, that if you really can follow your own set of your own rules, then follow your own word through integrity. Then respect yourself, love yourself, and be honest with oneself that you're going to do it. Because if you can do that with your work, then you should be able to do that with your business. If you could do that with your work, then you should be able to do that with your family. If you could do that with yourself, with your work, then you should be able to do that with your friends, with your partner, with your sports. You know what I mean? This is why it has to be a being. It has to go in one. Number 6 is simply an alpha doesn't let anyone, thing, rule his or her life. What does this mean? In most cases, people become so consumed by their own careers. Others are consumed by their own relationships. And when this happens, everything else starts to fall apart because there's no balance. Their health declines, they forget about themselves, they don't exercise, they eat crappy food, they make things, they eat something more easier than anything. Um, and their relationships are now being ruined because they're now being controlled. For example, if you have a feminine energy and your partner is very masculine and they start to overrule, and at one point you start to realize that, hang on a minute, why is she making all the decisions now? I don't feel like I'm a man, or I don't feel like being me. And this is where it doesn't work. So if the partner or the wife starts to realize, oh, I better let him do the decision making process. And whether we like it or not, men, we like to be acknowledged, and we also would like to be validated based on the amount of work that we do, correct? Javi, can you not do that, please? Because it's loud. Thank you. Do you agree? Yes or no? We need to be
Yes.
acknowledged as men. And if we're not being acknowledged, then this is where, hang on a second, why isn't she acknowledging me for the amount of hard work that I do? And then it starts to be a complaint. And then we start to complain, and all of a sudden the wife starts to think, oh, he's nagging now. Start to complain once again. It's because of her masculinity. But if you take control part of that energy and you start to create a decision making process, and without even her knowing, and you're overruling that, boom, this is where she starts to be attracted once again. Remember, you're also in a relationship with the markets. Then don't let the market rule you through your emotions of fear. Oh, I'm not good at this. Oh, I'm good. To be honest with you, they're just all BS that you created in your head that you're not good enough. Then overrule that, take control of the market, because you can control what you can control. The market there doesn't control you. I don't control you. Nobody puts a gun in your head without you putting your stop loss or you made a loss. Nobody ever did that. So at the end of the day, who's going to pull the trigger? Nobody else but you. So don't let anyone tell you that you're not good enough. Don't let anyone dictate in terms of who you're supposed to be as a human being. Never. Right? So an alpha will always recognize that life must be balanced through work, through love of oneself, through your health, through your relationships with your friends, with your partner, with your family, and in order as well to maintain a long lifestyle across basically the board, not just with one. Okay, very important. Number 7, an alpha maintains his or her health, basically physical health. Do you notice a bear? Do you notice that a wolf, for example, at the end of the day, we're still part of the animal kingdom. You see a gorilla, they're strong. You see a lion, they're strong. So they will maintain their physical health. The trading floor is the same. Some will find different ways through meditation. In actual fact, and this is where I sometimes wonder, based on the amount of stories that I've heard through Wall Street, even in Chicago, that they take drugs just to, I guess, get rid of the stress. But some, on the other hand, people I do know of firsthand, they'll go dancing, they eat properly, they will go exercise early in the morning, they play golf, and they maintain the physical health. So if you're not maintaining your own health and you're eating a lot of crappy foods, a lot of junk food, you're not drinking, you're not, when I say drinking, water, 3 liters of water on a day-to-day basis, you're not sleeping right, you're stressed, you're not eating right, a lot of junk food, you drink a lot of soda, you drink a lot of coffee, then how is the mind going to function when you don't look after your physical health? That's not an alpha. Then that means that if you're feeling lethargic, you're feeling tired, you're feeling, I don't know, man. So if that's the case, you're not going to perform to the ability you're supposed to be performing. So if you go to work tired and you're not going to deliver what you're supposed to be delivered, what do you think is going to happen with your job? Bad performance. We'll give him 3 months. If he's not going to perform, he's out. So if they do that to you in your own work environment, so imagine with your own business. Remember though, you're your own CEO, you're your own boss. You can do whatever you want to do. So how are you going to perform if your whole drive is the same with your work? You don't have the energy with your family, you don't have the energy with your friends. Your partner, they don't want to be with you. You're always grumpy. They don't want to be with you. And to be in a lethargic mode, depression mode, there's no energy. When there's no energy, there's no motion. You need energy and motion to feel the emotion, positive emotion, right? So number 8, a couple more because we're running out of time. An alpha is not afraid to say no. In other words, if you're a people pleaser, you're done. So by you having the decision-making process to say no, that if you don't feel like trading, don't trade. If someone tells you, oh, you got to trade, but you don't feel like it, then don't do it. That's why here, if you're afraid to do the things that you want to do based on, because you're now being overruled by someone because you want to please them, you're screwed, right? So this is the awareness that it's okay to say no to people as well. It's okay to say no to your partner. It's okay to say no to your kids. It's okay to say no to your boss. An alpha would be something like this. Your boss will tell you, hey, can you stay another hour? Now you have an agreement that you're going to have a date with your partner at 7 p.m. If you say yes and you are pleasing your boss, then you lost integrity now to your partner. What do you think your partner will think of you? He or she won't trust you anymore, right? An alpha will maintain the integrity by saying, I'm sorry, boss, I got a date with my beautiful wife, with my partner at 7 p.m. Find someone else, or I could do it tomorrow. Now, guess what your boss is going to do too? Ooh, okay, he's assertive. He's got that energy. He's confident. What do you think he's going to say? No problem. Let's do it tomorrow. No, you're an alpha. You're no longer basically a follower, like, oh, okay, just to please others. In trading, it's also the same thing. If you know that it's no longer right for you, take action and go for it. Close the position or enter that position. But if you choose to say not to trade with honesty, integrity, and respect, because it's the way how you see fit, then so be it. Number 9, an alpha is not afraid to acknowledge his or her weaknesses. Some will pretend that they are going to be acknowledging their own weakness. But one person is being righteous. That's not an alpha. So weaknesses are your inner fears. What are you going to do with your inner fears? Your level of mistakes. So an alpha is not afraid to apologize when they know that they're wrong. On the other hand, a person who thinks they're alpha, but in actual fact they're just they have a narcissistic behavior, is when they don't accept, and they all just want to be right, basically. So they're not willing to apologize based on their own mistakes. So when you are losing, or you made a loss as part of the learning environment, is to acknowledge that, okay, I lost, I respect the markets. What is it can I do in order for me to be a better trader? And what are my weaknesses? And those weaknesses going to be my strengths. Okay, so very important. Last but not the least, an alpha holds himself or herself with a strong posture. So what does that mean? If you look at a lion basically puts his chest out. A gorilla also will do the same. A wolf will also do the same. He holds himself up, and he knows that he can lead. He's the leader without being an asshole. Sorry for my language. Or the person who's a good alpha, they know themselves properly. They know themselves very well. They're confident. Simply, when they walk with confidence. When you trade with confidence. You react with confidence, with nothing, with no gray area. And when you are in that state of still thinking, let me think about it, you're done. Then don't even trade. Wait for the time until you are so sure about yourself that you are going to place a trade. So these are 10 traits of a very good trader that will make money consistently based on the alpha male or female masculinity. Any questions based on these 10 traits? I hope you took some notes down. And if you can apply that, and you can apply these traits, I guarantee you 100% your results will change massively. But you have to be, you need, it's a need, it's no longer a want. You need to be an alpha if you want to last long in this business. And you utilize this in your own being. I guarantee you as well, your work, or people will see you differently with work. Your partner will see you differently. Your family will see you differently. Your kids will see you differently, and they will follow you. No matter what you do, they will follow you. Sports is also the same thing. Any questions?
I don't really have questions, but I got a lot of things to think about.
Great.
That's pretty awesome.
You're welcome. Daniel, any questions?
No, thank you.
Oh, hi, Bala. Sorry I didn't have a chance to go with you and Jared because of the time constraints, but do you have any questions?
I'm good, Ray. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Jared, how about yourself? How's it going?
I'm doing well. No, I'm all good here. That was really cool insight.
Yeah. Awesome class today. Yeah.
You're
Yeah, same here.
All right, guys. Well, enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you guys on Monday.
Yeah, one quick request, Ray. So if you,
And Alpha.
could, yeah, if you could send me the recording, I would like to hear this often to make sure.
Absolutely. Langley, I actually recorded it. All right. Have a good one. Bye now.